Hey guys, Zane from the Infinite Jukebox here with another album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Sleep Token record, Take Me Back to Eden. It would be incorrect to say that the ever mysterious and largely nameless heavy metal slash hard rock group Sleep Token aren't one of the more popular metal bands in the modern metal scene outside of the black metal and death metal spheres, doing their own thing in the realm of alternative metal. That being said, it would also be mildly controversial to even call Sleep Token a metal band in the first place, depending on how much of an elitist any nearby metalhead is. I mean, really, I'm pretty sure that, Sleep Token and Ghost are about to get into a fist fight for who gets hated on more for being not a real metal band by metalheads. Then again, I also am pretty sure that metalheads think that Slayer isn't a real metal band, or that Cannibal Corpse isn't a real metal band. Metalheads are weird, okay? Just like how other alternative metal bands embrace a number of different influences to really stand out from the crowd, Sleep Token have embraced the influences of modern-day artsy pop and R&B. However, unlike other alternative metal bands from the past couple of years that have really stood out from the crowd, such as Fleshwater or even Loathe, Sleep Token have never been, how do I put this, good? It just feels like they've never been able to properly execute the sounds that they want to with the kind of success that they want to create a truly emotionally impactful album. At best, their music sounds shallow, and at worst, their music is some of the worst metal to come out of the past couple of years. And it's genuinely baffling to me to see this album, Take Me Back to Eden, see them skyrocket into even higher levels of popularity. I mean, more power to them, but this is just as terrible, if not worse, than anything they've done in the past up to this point. The most direct and obvious criticism that you can give Take Me Back to Eden, as well as any given Sleep Token record, is that it unsuccessfully bridges the gap between alternative R&B slash pop and metal of any kind. I mean, really, if there is a world out there where Sleep Token managed to make their brand of stadium metal slash hard rock combined with alternative pop and R&B make sense, it is certainly not this world. There's not a moment on this record where it feels like it should exist. Now look, making a blanket statement about, say, metal and R&B not going together would be ignorant. Making any sort of blanket statement about any two subgenres going or not going together would be ignorant in general. The possibilities are limitless when it comes to smashing together genres to create something new, and I think that it should be more heavily encouraged, putting together two sounds that just should not go together to make something different. I'm begging someone out there to make industrial country music. That is all I want. With that being said, I also do think that a smaller blanket could be laid out to say that Sleep Token at this point are completely incapable of making their own sound work. I mean, the project is now 3 full-length studio albums and 2 EPs into their career at this point, several years into their career, and not even once have they made their musical aesthetic work out. Above all else, the R&B influences clash with some of the heavier moments, as one may expect, but more than that, the R&B here is just bland. It isn't even interesting R&B. It's not even an interesting clash of sounds. It's kind of baffling. R&B and metal can work together, and it's arguably something that we've seen multiple times in the past throughout the decades. That being said, that is absolutely impossible when the people making the R&B portion of that R&B metal fusion are creating the most lifeless, lukewarm, uninteresting, and bland R&B this side of music in general. Look, all I'm trying to say is that in a world where musicians like Raven Lenae, Kali Uchis, Smino, and even Kalela have released great alternative R&B releases throughout the past couple of years, why would anybody take Sleep Token as their method of ingesting that particular niche? I mean, really, it just is not successful in any way, especially not after going through this stadium metal semi-butt rock filter that Sleep Token seem to put absolutely everything that they do through. It's downright obnoxious, and it feels like a bad take on what's otherwise a potentially great fusion of subgenres. The trap influences that are occasionally found here as well are just almost too atrocious to mention. They're found on tracks like Ascensionism, and I don't really have much to say about them. It's Sleep Token doing trap, Sleep Token doing trap, Sleep Token doing trap. I don't know what else to really say about that. It's about as horrible as it sounds. And look, I'm not trying to be a hater or anything like that, but I personally think that the person that told Sleep Token it was a good idea to include a trap beat and possibly a verse over that trap beat should be severely beaten with a shovel or potentially a hammer, pickaxe, take your choice of blunt yet still painful weaponry. My point is that whoever told him it was a good idea was a yes man, to be sure. I can't imagine in what world that would possibly be a good idea, and again, it's certainly not this one. That isn't to say that the metal itself is so great and it's just held down by the R&B. It's not. The metal is also awful. If you even really want to call it metal, it sounds less like metal and more like melodramatic hard rock dreck that you would hear in the background of a wannabe edgy TV show like Riverdale while something serious happens, or maybe in a bad Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, general anime AMV from earlier years in YouTube. I mean, at least those had Linkin Park, which was substantially better than this, somehow. I mean, throughout this record, Sleep Token are so self-serious that they almost feel like the Steel Panther of alternative metal. Just instead of parodying Motley Crue, they're parodying Deftones or some other mildly overrated alt-metal act. They really just feel like a send-up of the entire subgenre throughout this, even though I know that they are 100% dead serious. Every riff, every musical passage, absolutely everything about this album just feels tacky. I can't put it in any other way other than it feels tacky. Honestly, above all else, this album kind of sounds like a metal album made by someone who doesn't know what metal sounds like, and just something that they put together as something that they might think it sounds like sometimes, maybe. And I don't just mean to say that this sounds like someone who refuses to listen to death metal made a metal album. That's not the case at all. This sounds like metal made by someone who heard a Metallica song once, probably, and also heard a couple of Disturbed songs on the radio, so they have a pretty good idea of what metal sounds like. And then they got, like, I don't know, kidnapped by the metal mafia and thrown into a recording studio with a bunch of incredibly disinterested musicians that got kicked out of some other band for being too unlively, just completely passion lacking, and then they were just forced to make an album, and this was the result. That's genuinely what I imagined this album was. Take Me Back to Eden is musically weak, but it also is very overproduced as well, and feels downright comical at times considering how self-serious it is about absolutely everything it does, as if it has something to say when the lyrical content here is equal to the musical content, a whole nothing burger. I mean, really, I don't understand what separates this from the sounds of bands like Imagine Dragons or Shinedown. I mean, sure, they're of separate styles, but really, they are all just stadium bands. And there's nothing wrong with being a stadium band. There are many great stadium bands out there. But stadium bands that have no substance, that is the kind of band that a band like Sleep Token is. And the only thing that, again, sets them apart from a band like Shinedown is the type of fanbase that clamors around them. Vessel, the faux mysterious lead vocalist of Sleep Token, can even manage to muster up some half-decent vocals here, even though he does admittedly try his best. I mean, hey, I have to give him credit. Throughout the entirety of Take Me Back to Eden, it really does feel like he's trying his damnedest to channel some deep baritone but still powerful soaring voice that could suit stadium rock and gothic metal alike, but with that being said, Peter Steele, he is not. Whether it be some of the more overly sentimental tracks, like Are You Really Okay, or some of the more unnecessarily grand cuts, such as the title track, it really does feel like Vessel is just forcing every single note that he sings from the absolute bottom of his gut, and I don't mean that in the form of him being really passionate, I just mean that in the form of he is forcing it way too hard. It makes for a vocal style that is somewhat admirable, but still more corny and melodramatic above all else, as he ultimately takes away from some of the more serious aspects of Sleep Token as a project. Not that it was super easy to take this album seriously in the first place, but you get my point. I'll be totally honest. Sleep Token are already a fairly below average band over the course of their entire discography, if we're really talking about averaging out every single release they've ever made. And to hear Vessel return and just belch out every single note that he sings as if there's something important being said ranges from somewhat annoying to downright obnoxious. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that there's absolutely no appeal to Sleep Token as a project and that I don't at all get it, because there is appeal to them and I do understand it. It would be hard not to really appreciate at least some of the more mysterious aspects surrounding their performance work, as well as their bold stance on combining genres and subgenres. I mean, I don't like them, that's for sure, but I also have to give them credit for all of those things. My point is that it's not completely impossible to see how records like Take Me Back to Eden manage to appeal to a very large and wide audience in general. Unfortunately, it also seems like Sleep Token are at least fairly incapable of executing any of the sounds that they aim for with any degree of real artistic success, despite the fact that they are doing commercially just fine. After weak vocal work, royalty-free adjacent metal instrumentals, a sense of self-seriousness that's hard to get by, and just generally speaking, a horrible fusion of genres, the only thing that really keeps Take Me Back to Eden and Sleep Token from being just the absolute bottom of the barrel in 2023 is the fact that Morgan Wallen released an album in the same year as them. That is quite literally it. I'm going to give this record 1 star out of 5. And with that being said, that is the end of this album review. I've been Zane from the Infinite Jukebox. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.